everyone. Welcome to Amazing Plantz4mationz, and we have an amazing Plantz4mation here for you today. This is Paul Nison, and hopefully Nison. I might be saying it wrong, but he has been in the raw vegan world for so long. He has so much knowledge. I know he began being vegan back in 1990, and I saw his channel on YouTube, and it was called the Raw Food Health, Raw Living Health Show, Raw Food Health Show. Which
Raw
one?
Life Health Show.
Raw Life Health Show. And it was so cool. I watched him, and he was interviewing people, but he was also giving a lot of wisdom and a lot of really important knowledge. I feel like that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to, the raw food diet and raw living. And I'm just so happy to have him here. Both, we're going to have all the links in the description. He has 4 different channels. He healed his own self with using raw food, and it's just an amazing blessing to have him here today. So welcome, Paul. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
I know you've written books, and there's just so much to delve into here, but I guess I just wanted to start. Is it possible you could tell us just a little bit about like how this whole thing came up for you? Were you just grew up like the rest of us in the standard American diet, or how did you find raw foods?
Sure. Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I was always into sports, but that was the extent of my health. I was just trying to be as healthy as possible, playing a lot of sports, eating the standard American diet. But when I was a teenager, well, when I was 18 or 19, that's when I got sick with ulcerative colitis, also known as Crohn's disease. It's inflammatory bowel disease. And I did everything the doctors were telling me, but I wasn't getting better. So I had to look elsewhere. And it was a girl that told me if I started changing my diet and stop eating animals, my condition would get better. So I pretty much switched over to a lot of vegan foods, and I felt a little bit better. But it wasn't until I ended up going to Hippocrates Health Institute by accident. I found Brian Clement in the store, and he's the owner of Hippocrates. And I went there. I switched to a raw vegan diet, and I was immediately better. And researched it and stuck with it all these years. And it's 30 years later now, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still better.
That is amazing. How lucky was that to run into Brian in the store, right? It was like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Welcome everybody in the comments. Angela from Boomer and Beyond Wellness, thank you for joining. Lee Jane of Dialogue, thank you for being here. We're so happy you could join us. I know we were all excited to see Paul here today. I wanted to say also, like when you found raw food and this started to like heal you, when did you realize like that you wanted to share that with other people? Did you immediately start telling everyone about it, or did that come later on?
Well, what I did was I interviewed a lot of people that had been eating a raw food diet for a long time at that time. Stan Glazier, Doug Graham, Brian Clement, Fred Bishy, Arisla Tom. So I gotten to know all of these people and interviewed them for my own personal use. And then after a while, I interviewed more people that had been eating a raw food diet for a long time. And I had so much information that I decided to write a book. And I was writing the book. And while I was writing the book, I just said, instead of taking their information from the interviews, I'm just going to put the interviews right in the book. So the book is pretty much interviews with long-term raw foodists. And then I gave my analogy of how to make the transition mentally and emotionally to delete habits that we've been created in our lives that are unhealthy. And that book was called The Raw Life. And after that book, or during that book, I also became a chef at the world's biggest, it's Caravan of Dreams. It's a vegetarian restaurant in New York that's still there this day. And then I had my own raw food restaurant. And then I ended up writing a book about healing inflammatory bowel disease. And I just kept writing books from there and teaching people from there, and just have a joy helping people, mostly people that are sick that are trying to get better. I mean, everyone has their own goal and their own passion, but I was sick and I had got better. So I really want to help people get better who are dealing with illnesses, or at least show them the way.
Hmm.
And so that's what drives me to do this, is to let people know they have other choices than just what the doctors are telling them.
And you can definitely see that passion that shines through when in your videos. And I saw one you posted the other day was just basically telling everything that you've learned, over the time that you've been raw vegan. And that was really, really helpful. When you talk about those, like that pre-programming, what do you think is like one of the things that helped you in your transition, or like what did you eat and how did you do that, because it's so different than the way the rest of the world eats?
Well, I've always been a disciplined person. When I get my mind stuck on something, I stick with it. And basically, there are certain things that I love in life and certain things I hate. And I love the taste of food. I love the taste of all food, but I hate feeling sick more than I love the taste of food. So I had to make a choice. And my choice was, would I rather eat something that tastes great for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and feels terrible the rest of the day? Would I rather eat something that maybe doesn't taste the best and feel great the rest of the day? And then I made it in a way where I eat something now where I eat, feel great when I'm eating and feel great the rest of the day. So, it's easy for me. I don't miss cooked food. And I created a place where I can get the best food. So it's pretty easy for me to do.
That's amazing. And what exactly is it about raw food that, from all your studying and your own healing journey, what is it about raw food that can heal us, as opposed to, I know like there are a lot of people who are vegan that are watching this channel, and then some that are transitioning. But like, when we're talking about raw food, whether it's adding an abundance of raw food or being completely raw for healing, what is it that makes the raw food so good?
Well, basically, there's different categories of food. There's raw food and there's living food. And the living food is that's what it is. It's living. Raw food is excellent as well. Steamed vegetables is the beginning entry to cooked food, and then you can go to fried and microwave, which is the worst of the worst. But basically, the food you want to eat to thrive is as least processed as possible. As least processed as possible. There's a lot of raw food that's processed,
Hmm.
and it takes away a little from it, but it takes a lot more when you cook it. But if you eat a banana right off the tree, that you can't get any more less processing than that.
Right.
So one of the most common ways people process their food is they cook it. And but raw food is do things to their food as well. So the closest food you eat to nature, the better it's going to be for your body. So, so you want to make sure you're getting, if not all raw food, a good amount of raw food in your body. But we have to remember, health doesn't begin with what we add to our diet. It begins with what we eliminate.
Hmm.
That's such an important thing that I learned a long time ago. Health doesn't begin with what we add to our diet. It's what we eliminate. We must get rid of the things that are creating the problem. And the number one thing creating the problem is the excess processed food.
Hmm.
So that's it. So we got to eliminate that. And the raw foods and the living foods are not necessarily the same thing. Living foods are the sprouts,
Hmm.
and the life force is literally in the food. The raw food is excellent, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. But even then, in the sprouted form, would be much healthier and much better. And after 30 years, I'm still learning and applying and doing things to figure out the ideal diet. But when I interviewed people and watched what they were doing and saw the results now 20, 30, 40 years later.
That's amazing. It's like you have your own case study of everything, like with yourself, because some people, different diets that are out here nowadays, they say, "Oh, we don't know the long term effects of them." Well, I'm sitting here. That's why it's so amazing to talk to someone who's been doing it for so long, and because of that, we're able to see how you're thriving and still, learning. And so like if someone were like interested in like in raw foods but didn't like know where to begin, is that do you also do consultations like that?
I do. I first lead them to a lot of information I have out there. And then if they if they, want to continue, find out their reasoning why.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different things to motivate people to do this. So depending on why they want to do it, I'll help them achieve their goals. But in reality, it's physically it's easy thing to do to eat raw food. Physically. Emotionally, it's not, because we're so ingrained where we need to eat certain things and we need to eat certain amounts and we need to eat at certain times. So, so a lot of people aren't going to really be able to do it mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the hardest things that I found, not in my own little world, but when I would, socialize with other people or go out to a restaurant. That was always the thing. And I think a lot of people, because we all do something, in the world, they think it's the right thing to do. So I think that it's amazing what you do. And what would you say is one of the things that mentally can help people get to that point, especially if they're trying to heal?
Well, if somebody's sick, that's the motivator right there to get better.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody is overweight, that's the motivator right there to motivate weight. But if somebody's just doing to feel better, it's a little challenging because you really don't have like something pushing you, like a sickness or a weight loss or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
just know what your goal is, and but people can't understand how to do it. And there's no way I can do what I'm doing now. When I first started, I was eating a lot of recipes. I was eating raw junk food. I was just trying to get rid of the cooked food addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm still doing that now, 30 years later, something's not going to work.
Yeah,
But
that makes
thankfully, I'm not doing that. I'm doing a lot different now because I have all these years behind me. But if I would have met me 30 years ago and said, eat the way I eat now, I would have been like, I can't do that.
right. That's amazing. I think that we a lot of us come from that journey too, that we could have never seen ourselves where we are, in this stage of life, and promoting this. And what are some of the foods that you eat? I know I was just looking at some of Angela's comments here, and she was saying that your backyard is incredible with the vegetation, and I've seen you talk about some of the things that you ended up now, like, growing yourself. But in the beginning, I would assume in New York that wasn't the case. So you were finding the raw foods, and now you have a abundance of them. What's a normal day of diet look like for you? I know everybody's different, but
Well, up until about a month ago, I was eating twice a day, and I'd have one meal of fruit and then one meal of a salad. So I pretty much been doing that for a good amount of time now. And I do juice throughout a vegetable juice throughout the day or so on. So I've been doing that mostly. If I'm doing a new experiment now that I'll talk about in the future, but up until about a month ago, that's what I've pretty much been doing. And I feel 2 meals a day is wonderful and enough. And yeah, and so that's pretty much what it was. So I just have a meal. I have fruit trees, so whatever's in season I would eat. And then and then I would eat a nice big salad. I got into eating too many recipes a while ago, and I stopped doing that and just got back to eating pretty simple salads.
that's interesting. Like, I think we once we go on a certain path too, we can, take it and run with it. That's why I think, we being disciplined like you are is awesome. And some people might say, well, I could never not eat, only twice a day, or I could never just eat fruit and vegetables. Like when you talk about, like, if, like, all your stuff that I've watched online, you also talk about the other parts of, health, as far as like getting out, moving around, getting sunlight, sleep, and things. And, I think people think, oh, if I ate that much, I would be down to nothing. Well, you can see that you're, working out and different things. So, like, what amount of food do you think it just depends on where you are in your journey? Does your stomach shrink, as they say, or how does that tend to work for
Yeah,
people?
I would say the two most important parts, other than the processed food, when it comes to health, really no matter what you're eating, is the amount you eat and the quality of your sleep, and they go hand in hand. and
Mm-hmm.
people are eating way more than they need to be eating, way more than they need to be eating. Most people could eat at least half of what they're eating and be much healthier. People eat too often, too much, and too late, and that's the problem. Even raw foodists.
Mm-hmm.
So people need to cut down the amount of food they eat. And I see uh, other raw foodists teaching people they could expand their stomach to eat more. Eating too much is a problem. You know,
Mm-hmm.
eating as less as possible is the answer. And we don't need to eat much when we're eating healthy. I definitely don't recommend people eat late at night or before going to sleep. And 2 meals a day is ideal for everyone, everyone. And I mean, if you're an Olympic trainer, that might be a different story. But none of us here are pretty much Olympic trainers going to the Olympics. But 2 meals is fine, and really, people should monitor their blood work and make sure they're getting what they need. Monitor their sleep. They need to make sure they're getting good sleep, and and those are the keys. But people are just, from an emotional standpoint, eating too much, and they can't seem to break that. And I'd say overeating is more harmful than what they're eating, because I know a lot of people that eat pretty bad, but if they eat a little, they can get along pretty well. But
Mm-hmm.
people that eat uh, great food but overeat, they're asking for problems.
Yeah, I was just thinking the cat entered right then, but like if we really truly look at it, like our even animals that we have, they eat a little bit and then they're good. I think we were all taught as kids like eat everything on your plate, like whether you're hungry or not, and I think that really does stick with us, throughout life. So I love that what you talk about is putting the abundance of nutrients into our body, like with the raw food, and looking at it like that is really helpful in eliminating. So the first thing would be to eliminate the animal products and things like that, and then to add raw foods, in. Do you feel like it's any balance of that? I know you said you eat like fruit and juices. Should we eat more fruit than vegetables, or is it, do you balance it yourself?
Uh, no, definitely more vegetables than fruit.
Hmm.
Definitely,
Okay,
100%.
that's amazing. And I know you talked about you know, eating, drinking juice and things like that. And I know you have a lot of different things. If you go check out his channel, I mean, it's really an amazing abundance of information. Also, I enjoy the way you take kind of a practical approach to everything, to not go in one extreme to the other. I've seen a couple of the reaction videos where people are, basically everybody's on their own journey, but there are some basic things that you teach, which I love from all your, experience about kind
Well,
of.
let me ask you something. What
Mhm,
don't you love? I mean, I love it when people agree with me, but, and to
mhm,
your audience on the side also, that's how we learn. Where do we disagree? What do I say that people disagree with or don't like? Because I can explain that, because it's wonderful that you're doing this interview. I appreciate you for being here and doing what you do and interviewing me. But praises are wonderful, agreements are great, but where do you disagree, or where does anyone like on a side chat disagree? Because I'd love to discuss that and tell you my take on that, and not try to convince you or change your mind. Just tell you where my thinking is with that topic. So if anyone is watching and you disagree with something you've heard me say or do, let me know, and I'll be happy to discuss that. I'm thrilled to be here to discuss things we agree with as well. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
I'll ask you personally: is there anything you've seen me say that you haven't found to be in agreement with, or not yet? Because you will eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure I will eventually. I think that I'm trying to think over the time that I've been raw vegan, or and vegan and added cooked foods in and things along the line. I feel like I've learned on my journey. So like when I first started, I may have disagreed with some of the things, but I think over time of being on this 5-year journey, I that's why I reached out to you, because I tend to agree with a lot of things. I mean, I want to bring to the people that are on the show. I know not everyone's a raw vegan, but I enjoy your approach to that, where you tell people that it's healthy to eat raw food. But if you're not ready to go fully raw, I've seen you do things about vegan restaurants, so I enjoy that. But I'd be interested. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I completely disagree with, but let's see if anybody, maybe in the audience here that's listening has something to say. Marakita, welcome. And also, let me read this
It's
comment.
funny. There's somebody on YouTube that makes videos against raw foodists and vegans, mostly
Mhm.
vegans,
Oh,
against
yeah.
them, like really knocking them down. And they had me on there a couple of times saying, "Oh, I look so weak and tired. I probably can't do any exercise." And I agree, I look tired in some videos because I was definitely not getting the full amount of sleep I required and not taking care to get good enough lighting. So I don't disagree with that. But when she made claims like, "Oh, I probably couldn't even ride a bike. I'm so weak." I exercise all the time, and to me, it's so important. And I love being fit, and to me, that's a marker of health. And I love being physically fit. And the only thing I used to struggle with, which I'm doing now more often, is I understand our bodies are like a rubber band, and stretching is so important. So I've
Mhm.
always been into like lifting weights or doing calisthenics, but stretching is something I've never really made time for. But now I make time for it every morning. I try to vision my body as a rubber band, and sometimes we'll even have a rubber band and that hasn't been stretched for a long time and pull it a lot, and you'll see it break. I don't want that to happen in my body as I get older. So I'm trying to get
Yeah.
even a few minutes of stretching every day, particular stretches for my spine, for my legs, just to make sure. And each day I get a little bit looser and looser, but to keep that rubber band loose is really important. But it's you don't the thing is, if you do too much, it's hard to be consistent, and it's more important to be consistent than to be great and be bad and be great and be bad. So do a little, everybody, and be consistent.
That makes all the difference in the world there, of the consistency. Thank you for pointing that out, because we get on these, I think, binges either way. Some people food binge, and then some people might work out every day for a week and then not work out again, or different things like that. Boomer and Beyond said Paul makes an important point. Too many people think that because they do a little exercise, even if it's strenuous, means they must eat more. This applies to elite athletes. Yeah. And I never, thought about, sometimes I often wonder, people say, oh, I don't eat enough, but it makes a lot of sense. What you're saying is that a lot of us are overeating. So,
All of the old people, the natural hygiene people, what they promoted was eating very little. They didn't promote eating a lot, eating very little and getting by on very little. All of the old timers, they promoted
mhm.
two things: eating very little and not eating late at night. Those are like the two main factors. And I have found them to be so important when it comes to long-term health.
And I know you have other channels too that we were talking about, and you also have the channel where you speak about, like, religion, right, and how it pertains, like the biblical principles of diet. So if anyone is interested in studying that with Paul, I think that is important. We're going to put all the links in there as well. And I was going to say, let me see if anyone. Oh,
Well,
welcome, Philip. Do you
so
have any questions?
so yeah, I read the Bible after I became raw, and Genesis 1:29 says the food for man is fruits and vegetables. And there were several examples in the Bible of people that ate fruits and vegetables and how it just blessed them so much. And then I realized, well, why did God allow man to eat meat? And it wasn't for their great behavior. It was a curse. It was like a result of the flood, and it was just a bad thing. And God gives us the food we should be eating, and when we should eat it, how we should eat it, and it goes right along with being healthy and so on. And then I got so into the Bible, and even our Savior, our Messiah, Yeshua, the one they called Jesus, just blessed me enough to open my eyes to all these other things about life that people care more about than 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 our temples, our bodies. So, for example, the bottom line is our Creator created the food for us, but he told us, have no idols in our life. and people worship the food more than they worship the creator of the food. And the problem is, people are making an idol out of their food, and they try to appease their stomach so much where they're overeating. They have no control over the food they eat. They pretty much make an idol out of their food. And that is where overeating comes in. The food is the most important thing to them in their life. And it
Hmm.
shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. I mean, fasting, not eating food, is one of the greatest gifts we could ever have, because to be happy and joyful without the pleasure of food is a pretty beautiful place to be. But food is great pleasure. But, you know, we should desire it, but not need it.
Hmm. That makes sense. And to design, I think also restructuring our brain to think about why we need food for nutrients. I think that's one of the things I never understood really up until even maybe the last couple of years. I was always saying that, you know, food heals people. Like, when I was talking about some of the things that I might have disagreed with in the beginning, like fruit heals or, vegetables heal. But actually, I found later on that the body, heals itself. And like you said, the amazing way it was designed is what's creating all of that, right? Not the actual food.
That's what they told me when I first went to Hippocrates Health Institute. They said food doesn't heal us. Food allows our body to do what it was designed to do when you're eating healthy. And the body was designed to be a self-healing machine. And that's what happens when we sleep every night. Body's healing. If we get the proper sleep and rest, not eating before going to sleep, getting enough sleep, and we wake up refreshed.
And then the not eating right, because I remember telling you I struggle with that a little bit, like not eating right before you go to sleep. What actually is it? The digestion? Is it this healing time? Is that why we're not eating right before sleep?
Well, there's digestion is what takes place after we eat food. But when we're going to sleep, that's where healing should be taking place. But if we eat too close to going to sleep, we're not letting the healing taking place because the body's still in digestive mode. So the
Okay.
body's not getting the proper rest and the proper healing. So we definitely want to make sure we're not eating before going to sleep. Uh, Maybe 4 or 5 hours before would be ideal. Also, we got to understand that when we eat the food, uh, the body has to do a lot depending on the food we eat. So if we eat the wrong type of food, it has to work that much harder to digest it. And so that's another thing. And then finally, when we eat food late at night, nighttime is when our bodies are designed to be in that cleansing mode. When the moon's out, the waters of the planet are rising and cleansing. Uh, our bodies were not designed in the ideal situation to eat when it's nighttime, because it's just everything slows down at nighttime unless you're a nocturnal animal, and we're not. So the ideal times for us are to eat in the daytime. So most people are sleeping at night and they're eating at night, and that's a big problem. So there's so many issues with eating before going to sleep, and it's another habit that we get into that's tough to overcome. But people do much better if they didn't eat late at night.
That's amazing. And this comment said, Angela said, I will be honest, I heard a famous female raw foodie speak about Paul. It's amazing how narrow minded people become when they see gray hair.
Yeah. So that's very interesting because, I mean, most of the famous raw fooders out there today are not eating a healthy diet from the women out there. The only reason they're popular is because they're making videos half naked, and that's just the truth. And they're not eating healthy. They're overeating and promoting food that's overeating and eating raw food, junk foods, and things like this. But I appreciate people that are still trying to get the word out about raw and turning people onto the raw food diet. So from that aspect, I appreciate the effort that a lot of them make. But when it comes to the idea of gray hair, I agree. I mean, it's a person. If I see a 20-year-old with gray hair, I'm gonna be like, wait a second here. That person something wrong there. But for me, I mean, I choose to have a beard. I definitely could shave the beard and look much more younger. I would look a lot younger without the beard, but I just like to have a beard. But if you notice, I don't have any gray hair, and my beard's gray, but I don't have gray. But it's not about vanity for me, because I could simply shave my beard. I won't have gray hair. I'll look younger.
Yeah.
but I'm not doing it for vanity. Another thing is, I believe I have a good physique, but you'll never see me in a tank top or with no shirt on because I
Hmm.
believe in modesty.
Hmm.
And I'm not here into vanity because you know what? So for the age I am, if I take off my shirt and make a muscle and I have a muscle, are people going to change their mind and say, oh, wow, he's doing something right. I'm going to buy a book? Maybe. Maybe I'll sell a few more books if I shave my beard and wear a tank top. But that's not my goal for getting people into eating raw. I want people to understand true health. And if people really look closely, my skin is flawless
Hmm.
and I feel great. And I admit in some videos I might have made them in the middle of the night or made them after not getting enough sleep and I might look tired, but energy is no issue with me at all. I mean, it's so, but I agree and I disagree when I see people say things like that because, yeah, the beard makes me look older. I get it. But, you know, anyone that knows me and hangs out with me knows how strong I am and how much strength I have. And, but I don't care if they do or don't. I mean, I know. I mean, if I wasn't as good as I am, I'd be concerned as well. But I know and I watch these things very closely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I think we get caught up in people have this false sense of, that health is going to overnight make them look like this supermodel, or raw food and things like that. So, also you could say it makes you look wiser, not older, right?
Well, I appreciate you and I appreciate what you're doing because here you are. I mean, you dress modestly and you're doing this job. You're doing this. You're getting the word out. You're not putting the focus on you. You're putting the focus on the information,
Mhm.
and you're not seeking that type of attention. And so I appreciate you doing that. And I wish because some of their information is okay. Some of them have good uh, content, but I wish they would just think more about getting the message out instead of the vanity part of it.
It makes a lot of sense, and I think the world has a false sense of what people look like when they're healthy. Like I know when I first, and you probably experienced this too, especially if you lost weight, they're like, "Oh, you're getting too skinny," but like literally, we've seen these pictures circulating around. Like it doesn't mean like too skinny or too big. Like those are people's opinions. It's definitely like you said, if you're able to get up and feel energized and feel good mentally, spiritually, it definitely is not about what people are perceiving you on the outside. um and Boomer and Beyond said, I agree with you. And she said, I laugh when I go grocery shopping and young people want to help me. I thank them and turn them down. Does gray hair does not mean frail, right? Like I don't need any help, right? Oh yeah, I've seen your workout videos. You could probably lift way more than me, and I think we're different in age. um I'm sure, and I think it's true. Like people get caught up instead of giving people the information. A lot of times, we can get caught up in promoting ourselves, and that's definitely one of the things. I think there's not enough factual information out there. Everybody's got something different to say. So having someone like you who's been doing it for a long time on there, promoting with your channel, promoting, different people's interviews and also your own experience in a way that's not trying to like, I don't want to say like, not lie to people because there are, like you said, some good morsels of information in different people's work, but in a sense, not give them any false hope.
Yeah, I mean, what time do you have right now? Let me give you an example. What time do you show right now?
12:07.
Okay, so right before we did this interview, I was mowing my one of my yard. It's 3/4 of an acre, and it's not even a simple mowing yard. It's I got to go around trees and stuff, so it's a good amount of work. All right. Uh, what I had today was I had a green vegetable juice, a Hippocrates juice with sprouts in it.
Wow, that's
In the middle of mowing it, I started before and then I took a break and I had the juice and then I finished. I'm almost done, but people can't understand that.
mhm.
They don't get it.
How you
And
could do all of that and
yeah,
like some it's true because some people have to wake up, the first thing they have to do is eat a big breakfast, but then it would probably make me tired if I did that, right? That's amazing. And you put push mower, I assume, huh?
Oh, no, no, no.
No.
No, I have you press the thing and it moves forward.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, but still, like on not on a riding
Oh,
lawn.
no, no, no.
Yeah,
You have to
you're
push it.
still
Yeah.
walking, moving
Oh,
around.
yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
That probably is a workout in itself, taking care of a lot of the gardening and things that you do.
People don't realize how big it is. I teach people how to grow fruit trees and how to grow gardens, and that's really a big important thing that I do. And a lot of people say, well, they don't have land to grow stuff. Well, you don't need land. I mean, sprouting is the answer. Sprouting is the key. If you're eating a raw food diet and you're not sprouting, you're missing a big part of this. Sprouting, sunflower sprouts, uh, and just pea sprouts and just mung bean sprouts. It's so easy and so powerful. I mean, that juice that I had today probably had more protein than somebody's going to get all day. And it's so essential and a blessing to sprout.
And what is the like? What do you put in your green juice, just so that we could know?
Well, I usually put what I have, but my ideal green juice would be what they've served at Hippocrates Health Institute, which would be sunflower sprouts, pea sprouts, uh, and cucumber and celery.
Okay. And you put the sprouts in the juicer with all of that, and just
Well,
mix
they're
it
not
up.
sprouts; they're actually microgreens.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Microgreens, so they grow into little shoots. They grow into a green.
And those, like when they're sprouted, they're like the baby version of the plant. Is that why they have so much more nutrients in them?
Not necessarily. They're just live. They're just
Okay.
live sprouts that have. They're just packed with more nutrition in the actual seed itself.
That's amazing.
So if
I
you
want to
take a
start
bean and then
applying
you can't eat a bean raw, but if you sprout it and you eat the green, the microgreen that comes out of the bean, it's just like 30 times more nutritious.
that. Talk about a protein shake. That is the true version of it, it sounds like, because
But it's
that.
so easy to do. I remember years ago I was traveling and it was this couple 80 years old, and in their basement they were making wheatgrass. And it looked so hard to me at the time to do, and I've tried to do it over the years. But now I got dialed in. I'm doing it right, and I love it. It's great.
And I know I've seen your videos also. If you check out his channel, I think you have like a I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you have like a one juicer that you promote with the coupon, right?
Oh yeah, the Nama J2 juicer has changed juicing.
Mm-hmm.
Nama J2 juicer is makes juicing so easy, and it's Nama J2, and just use code Paul10. So you just go to their website, which is namawell.com, NAMA well.com, and when you go to checkout, you just use Paul10, and you get 10% off. Such an amazing juicer. It just makes juicing so easy.
That is amazing. I gotta get one of those. I definitely do, because I just watch how like easy it looks to, to juice with it. Um, Paul 10. I'm thinking, I'm putting that in my mind for when I'm ready to order it. Grateful to catch this, Carl. We're grateful you're here. Thank you. I appreciate everyone who is joining. Let's see here. I recently had a woman write comments to me about how sick I look, and now thin, shaking my head. Yeah, it's well, I think also, what do you think of this, Paul, that we go under a magnifying glass when we start talking about health, but yet the rest of the world is unhealthy, but no one says, anything to. I think that's another thing, just putting yourself online, it opens us up for that. But I think more of the people are absorbing the information than are trying to make fun of people and things like that.
Yeah. So what's the question?
She was just saying that I think it was back. I might have delayed on when we were talking about people just kind of telling people we look thin, or we don't look healthy and things like that. But I would recommend them seeing your blood work versus theirs in a lot of cases, right? I'm sure they're not eating the if they're not eating a healthy diet, they may feel good at the moment, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're healthy, if that makes sense.
Well, there's people that eat unhealthy that look great. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got to understand there's a lot more aspects to health than just the way we eat,
Mm-hmm.
But But then there are other people that have to wear paint on their face to look great because that's how bad their skin probably is or something. And
Mhm.
that's definitely not healthy or for emotional or physical reasons. And so do the best you can do. There's no excuses. Raw food's very inexpensive. Sprouting is very simple. The Bible says my people destroyed for lack of knowledge. Well, get that knowledge.
Mhm.
Get the knowledge and apply it, and it'll work. So there's nothing stopping people except themselves.
That's very insightful there. And also, just I know we're going to wrap up here soon. Could you tell me just again, if you could tell everyone where they can find you? Is there, and also like your website, if you would.
Sure. My YouTube channel is Raw Life Health Show. That's you can find my raw food videos there, and I have other channels as well. But my member website is rawlifehealthshow.com, and there you get a whole bunch of videos, recipes, and things like that, and free ebooks and so on. And but there's also information about me and my books there as well. I'm on social media, Instagram. I'm on Facebook, TikTok. I'm Fruitful Trees on TikTok, but on Instagram and Facebook, Paul Nison, and you could all contact me there. But the main website, rawlifehealthshow.com.
Awesome. And if you had to kind of tell people just in summary, like, is there anything you wanted to say, like in closing, as your message to people?
Yeah, smile and enjoy life. And if you're not able to do that, something's not working. You shouldn't just eat a diet that's making you unhappy or eat things you don't like. Eat what you enjoy, but eat with wisdom and know the results they're going to give you. Don't overeat. Your joy doesn't come from food. Food might give you joy, but your joy should come, from other things, not food. And whatever your goal is, whether it's to overcome cancer or to just feel better, don't doubt yourself and listen to all the people that are out there, whether it's uh, somebody who agrees or disagrees with you. Hear what they have to say. It is good to look at them and see if they're healthy. Who wants to take advice from somebody that doesn't look healthy? But we have to know what makes sense and what doesn't.
Hmm.
And if something makes sense to you, try it. And if it doesn't make sense to you, question it.
Hmm.
And that's going to be different for everyone. And not everyone's going to agree with you. Not everyone's going to support you. But as long as you could do it with joy and confidence, go for it.
I love that. And I love what you said about knowledge too, because that's one of the things that shifted in my mind was just a, 30-minute video. So the amount of work that you put in and your passion for putting the word out there, I think is definitely reaching a lot of people, and we appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate everyone who came. Is there any questions or anything that you want to ask Paul before we wrap up? I just want to quickly thank everyone that I saw. If I miss anyone, I apologize. Boomer and Beyond Wellness, you're amazing. Thank you for coming. Lee, thank you. Marakita Solis, thank you for being here. Philip, thank you. And Carl, thank you. I saw you pop in there. So we are really happy to have everyone here. And I know there was so many little morsels of information that you shared with us. So we definitely appreciate you being here, and everyone check out his books and all of his work on YouTube, and even get a juicer.
Yes, the Nama J2 juicer for sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for all of this. If you ever want to join again, or maybe to talk about certain topics or anything, I would love to have you. And I really appreciate you taking your time out to do this with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Please share this with others, and you all have a great day.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.